Hello guys, welcome to yet another exciting lesson on JavaScript. Today we are going to be looking at JavaScript Switch. We are going to be looking at the JavaScript Switch. So, what is a switch? A switch is just a conditional statement that is used to evaluate an expression and matches it to a particular case. And the cases could involve either a line or lines of code. And usually, the switch statement is often considered the best solution because it handles the exact situation. That means if you give it uh, a condition, once it takes that condition, it handles it strictly to a particular case and handles it strictly. So it's often considered the best. Then and it makes it more efficient. That makes it more efficient than the if and else if. Sometimes the if and else if usually misbehave. So the switch has the following syntax. Let me just type it out. The switch has this syntax. You have switch, you have the switch, right? Then you have the expression. Switch, you have the expression. That is what you are going to be switching on. Then you have case. You have case n. Let's say case 1. You have a colon. You have the code. You have the code here. Let's say code block. Then you break. After you execute that, you break. You have case 2. Case 2. I think we should indent this. Let's make it, yeah. So code block, then you break, semicolon. Then it continues. You can do as many as you want, even to case 20 or case whatsoever. You can do that. But let's add at default. When you define cases, you have a default. You have the code. You have the code here. So this is basically how to create a switch. This is a switch. This is the syntax of a switch. And so we are going to be taking an example. Let's say you want to prompt a user to enter a number, then you test and see if the number is even or odd using the switch statement. Let's try. So we have cleaned that up. So before we do that, we need to create a function that will calculate if the number is that will calculate and determine if the number inputted is even or odd. So let's create a function. Let's say calculation here. Function calculation number. Yeah, let's calculate on the number. And then let's return something. Like one thing with functions, you can choose to give it a return value or choose not to give it a return value. But here let's return a value. Return we take that number percentage percentage 2. Do you know what this statement means? This return number percentage 2. That means this function will perform a modulo on 2. That means you take the number inputted divided by 2 and then return the remainder. So that's the meaning of this statement. Number modulo 2. We divide number by 2 and then return the remainder. So and anyway, let's just move ahead. So let's create another function. Yes, let's create another function that will yeah, another function that will ask the user to enter the number. Let's say, oh, I think we should just go right away here. Yes, var. Oh, let's apply the aspect of callbacks here. Yeah, so define another function test even or odd. Test even or odd on what number. This code is going to be long, so as number equal to prompt, because we are trying to ask the user to enter, so we prompt him to enter a number. Yeah, so let's make it like that. So we should enter a number, then we switch on that number. Now we first of all need to switch on just look at something here. We need to switch on the return value of this. So we need to switch on calculation of that number. Have you understood what we have done here? That means we are switching on the return value of this function. We are calling this function to implement to be implemented on this number that we are going to be prompted to input. See, right? So we are going to switch on that return value. Because when we calculate, when we have received the number according to right, so we take the modulo of that number. We take that number divided by 2, return the remainder, and then we switch on that remainder. So what would our case 1 be? Case 1. Our case 1 will be that case 1 means case 1 if our remainder is 1. That means it should alert what number is odd, because if you divide something by 2 and you get I think we should start with 0. Yes, case 0, number is even. So if you divide a number by 2 and you get a 0 remainder, that means that number is an even number, right? So enter and we break, so it stops the code from there. So we do case 1, you alert. That means if it is 1, the case where it is 1, you should alert number is odd. That means if after dividing by 2 you get a 1 remainder, that means the number is odd. I think that should be very clear. Then you break. Don't forget to break. Always check and make sure you are breaking each of your cases. That means when you implement that, you break. Except you want to put a loop there. Alright, then you go to the default. So if none of this default, it should just say enter a number. Enter a number. Yeah, you should just say alert enter a number. So we are going to do, let's save that, and then we let's try to load. Let's try to refresh the page. Refresh. Nothing is happening. What's going on? Okay. This is so funny. We have defined the function, right? But where have we called it? We haven't called the function, so it cannot work. Recall the lesson we had on functions. You must call the function before it is executed. You cannot just create a function and then expect it to work. You have to call it. So I have to call test even or odd. Let's save that. So we have now called the function, this function, and in this function, while it is running, it is going to call this other function. Remember callbacks, right? Okay, so let's reload. Here you have it. Enter a number. Let's say number is 3. The number is odd. Have you seen that? Let's try entering an even number. Let's say 20. Okay, number is even. To show you that this is not actually a trick, let's reload and then we enter a very large, another large even number. Let's say 142. 142. Number is even. In short, let's enter another even number to make sure it is not, let's say 76. Yeah, just random number 76. Number is even. You see, right? It's working perfectly. The number is even. So let's try again with an odd number. Let's say 111. Number is odd. You see, right? The switch statement works perfectly. It works just perfectly. As you look at our code, we have defined, first of all, started by creating a function that will perform the calculation, then create another function that will implement the switch on it, and then display a message corresponding to the result. So when the result is 0, it displays this message and then it breaks from there. It stops the execution from there. If the result is 1, it displays the message and then stops the execution from there. Else the default message will enter a number. So this is just basically all about JavaScript switches. You can do just a lot. And one thing you should also know is that JavaScript switch is also used to create menus. So guys, it has been fun and hope you learned a lot today. We are going to end here and take note, please, always practice and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting lessons on JavaScript, Python and other languages. We are going to keep you updated. Thank you so much for subscribing and see you in the next lesson. Bye.